Alright, so today we're going to be shifting horizontally. I decided we're going to do this step by step. I already did it, so I'll just kind of walk you through what I did. So I looked at the equation over here and it was quadratic. So I clicked this because this is the shape of my curve. And then I knew it was quadratic because of the shape of my curve was a bowl. And then my equation always has an exponent when it's quadratic, and it doesn't when it's linear. So we know that it has to be the one with the exponent or squared. So then I chose shift right because the basic function was over here. It was right here at this dot, and I had to shift over to this dot right here. And so I had to shift to the right by 1. And then when I wrote it, I wrote x minus 1 in parentheses to the power of 2, or squared. And I wrote this because you kind of do the opposite of what it is. So, like, when you think of shifting right, typically you would think of adding. But in the equation, when you want to write that you're minusing 1 because you do the opposite. It kind of is weird, but that's how it works. And then your answer is yes, because it was this equation. So then you're ready to go to the problem. So using the quadratic function, so it already told us that we're going to be using the quadratic function. We know that it has to be the one that's squared, and then we know that it's this shape. And then it says create the transform function g of x obtained by shifting left. So I'm just going to click shift left by 5 units. Whew. And then again in your parentheses you kind of do the opposite of what it's asking. So shifting left would typically be subtracting, but in the equation you want to write plus 5 and then put it in parentheses with the squared out of the equation. And then I look and it's one straight line. There's no other things to it. So yes, I'm done. And then I'll do one more problem, and then hopefully that'll be enough to get you started in your workspaces. So when you look at the equation for the transform function, it is g of x equals x plus 3 squared. And then using the information from this equation, you have to indicate the basic function. And you can see it has the squares, so we know it's quadratic. And you know your equation is x squared. And then you know that it's curved. So when you're adding, if you think about it, it's weird. Again, I said it's the opposite. So if it's adding instead of shifting right like you would think, you're actually shifting left. So you're shifting left by 3. So then you have to add 3 because it already tells you the equation, and put that in parentheses, and always leave the exponent out or the square out. Then again, it's one line. And so yes, I'm done. And I hope this video helped you do your workspaces and problems for shifting horizontally.